Hello and welcome back to Easy Sleep. Tonight we will take a quiet walk through a peaceful garden of Eastern wisdom. We will follow the journey of a young jade carver, skilled and intelligent, yet always restless. His hands are precise, but his mind is constantly busy, always striving, always forcing, always worrying about the outcome of every effort. Before we begin, take a deep breath. Let us begin this story. At the foot of a mountain, veiled in a thin mist, there lived a young jade carver named Wren. He was the most diligent student in the workshop of Master Li, an old man known for his patience and his flawless creations. Wren had everything it took to become great: sharp eyes, steady hands, and a burning determination. But there was one thing that always held him back: his own mind. Every time he held a piece of raw jade, his thoughts would begin to race. It must be perfect. It must be better than the others. It must impress Master Li. His hands would start to work, but his movements became stiff, tense. He forced his chisel, trying to carve out the shape he imagined with intensity. Often, instead of beauty emerging, the jade would crack in the wrong place. Cuts that should have been smooth became rough. Lines that were meant to be gentle became broken. One afternoon, after yet another small vase shattered in his hands, Wren sat wearily by the edge of the workshop pond. The water was clear, reflecting the sky and his troubled face. "Why is it so difficult, Master?" he sighed to Master Li, who sat calmly fishing by the pond. "I've tried with all my strength. I've studied every technique, but the more I force myself, the more mistakes I make." Master Li did not answer right away. He took a slow breath, his eyes fixed on the tip of his fishing line, barely moving in the still water. "Wren," he said at last, his voice as soft as the whisper of bamboo leaves. "What do you see in this pond?" "Water, Master, and the reflection of the sky." "And what happens if you stir the water, trying to force the reflection to become clearer?" "The water would become cloudy, Master. The reflection would scatter and could no longer be recognized." Master Li nodded gently. "My child, your mind is this pond. The jade is the reflection of the sky, a possibility of beauty that already exists within it. Your task is not to disturb the water with your desires and fears. Your task is to let the water become still, clear, so that the reflection appears on its own. Only then, gently follow the shape that has been revealed to you." Wren fell silent. He had always believed that he had to create beauty, that beauty existed outside and he had to seize it by force. His master's words felt unfamiliar. "But how, Master? How do I calm the mind? It is like a wild horse that refuses to be still." Master Li smiled softly. "By stopping the effort to tame it, by letting it run until it grows tired on its own. Then sit at its edge and simply observe its breath. You do not need to do anything, just be. Tomorrow we will go to the forest." That night, Wren lay in his room. He tried to do nothing. The result was that his mind became even noisier. What did Master mean? How is it possible not to try? What will we do in the forest? He felt increasingly frustrated. The art of not trying felt like an impossible riddle. Yet, beneath all that noise, there was a small stillness being touched, like a gentle ripple in his cloudy pond. Perhaps, just perhaps, there was another way. Not about force, but about quietness. And here we pause for a moment. Just as Wren tries to let his thoughts flow, let us also allow our bodies to relax. Close your eyes and imagine yourself sitting by the edge of a clear pond, simply listening to the sound of the wind. The next day, Wren followed Master Li into the forest beyond the hill. He walked with restless steps, his mind still full of questions and analysis. What does the forest have to do with carving jade? What am I supposed to find here? He nearly tripped over tree roots as his thoughts drifted far away. Master Li walked calmly, his steps in harmony with the whispering wind. They stopped at a grove of tall bamboo. The stalks were green, flexible, swaying gently. "Wren," said Master Li, touching one of the bamboo stalks, "try to press this, then release it." Wren did as he was told. He pushed the bamboo. It bent, following his pressure. When he let go, it returned upright perfectly, even swaying gracefully. This bamboo is not rigid. It is soft and flexible. A great storm can break a large, hard oak tree, but bamboo only bends and then rises again, said Master Li. In its softness, there is strength to endure. In its flexibility, there is resilience. This is Wu Wei. Action without effort. Not resisting, but redirecting. Not rigid, but responsive. They continued their journey until they arrived at the edge of a small river. The water flowed clearly and smoothly among the rocks. Master Li told Wren to sit and observe the river. "Look at how the water flows," whispered Master Li. "It never tries to flow. It does not think, I must wash over that rock or I must avoid this one. It simply flows. When it meets a large stone, it does not stop or become angry. It bends, seeps, or rises, and keeps moving. It reaches its destination, the sea, without a single trace of tension." Wren watched the river. It was true. The water seemed so effortless. There was no struggle, only natural and smooth movement. He remembered how tense his hands became when carving, as if he were fighting the jade. "But Master," Wren asked, "the water has gravity pulling it. My jade has no such force. How do I know where to flow?" "Very well," said Master Li, as he picked up a dry leaf and placed it on the surface of the river. The leaf drifted along, spinning gently with the current. This leaf does not need to know where the river flows. It only needs to trust the current. Within the raw jade, there is already its own flow, a potential form that wishes to emerge. You do not create it, you only reveal it. For that, you must become like this leaf. Simply be present, simply trust, and allow yourself to be carried by the flow that already exists within the stone. These words still felt like a dream to Wren. How could he trust a stone? How could he flow within an action? "Your mind is the stone, Wren," said Master Li, as if reading his confusion. "Your mind that is always analyzing, worrying about results, comparing yourself to others. That is the great stone blocking the flow of your river. You must learn to become empty." "Empty? But doesn't that mean having no skill?" "No. Empty like a mirror. A mirror does not try to hold on to reflections. It simply reflects what is with clarity. When you carve, become a mirror to the jade. Let it reveal its form to you. Then reflect that beauty through your chisel, without adding, without subtracting, without forcing your will." They returned home in silence. Along the way, Wren no longer asked questions. He simply tried to observe. He noticed the steps of his feet touching the ground, the chirping of birds that did not try to sound beautiful, and his own breath flowing in and out without command. When they arrived at the workshop, Master Li handed Ren a small piece of raw jade. "For tomorrow," he said, "do not carve it, just hold it. Look, feel, and try to listen." That night, Ren sat in his room with the jade in his hands. He did not try to imagine what it would become. He simply held it, feeling its coolness and texture. At first, his mind still commented, "This part is hard. The color is uneven." But slowly, he returned to the sensation in his palms, to its weight, to its simple presence. For a very brief moment, his mind grew quiet. There was only the stone and the hands holding it. In that short silence, Ren felt something strange. A very light peace, like a leaf just touching the surface of the water. Perhaps this was what Master meant by a still pond. Perhaps this was the beginning of what is called not trying. In the days that followed, Ren lived in an unusual routine. He spent more time not carving. He sat for hours, simply gazing at different pieces of jade. He walked through the garden, observing how flower petals bloomed without a sound, and how a spider wove its web with a precision that seemed effortless. One morning, Master Li gave him a larger piece of jade. "Today you will begin," he said. Ren's heart pounded. This is it. Don't fail. Even that thought itself became a form of tension. "But remember," Master Li continued, his voice as gentle as ever, "your first cut is not to carve a shape. Your first cut is to create empty space." Ren frowned. "Empty space, Master?" "Yes. Look at the roof of this workshop. What holds it up?" "The pillars, Master." "Wrong," said Master Li with a smile. "What holds the roof is the empty space between the pillars. The pillars only mark the boundaries. A window is useful because of its emptiness, allowing light to enter. In carving, you often think about what you must add or what you must shape. Begin by thinking about what empty space you need to allow, what must be removed so that the hidden beauty can breathe." The explanation slipped like light into the tangled corners of Ren's mind. All this time, he had seen jade as a solid mass he needed to conquer. Now he began to see it as a possibility. Within it already existed a form waiting to be revealed by removing what concealed it. With a new intention, Ren lifted his chisel and hammer. This time, he did not immediately attack the stone. He placed his chisel gently on a point, took a deep breath, and allowed his hand to feel the subtle vibration between steel and stone. When the hammer landed, it was not a strike filled with force, but a tap filled with awareness. A small fragment broke away. He paused, watching. That fragment was not merely waste, it was the opening of a space. He continued. Each tap was no longer about, "I must make this line," but rather, "Is this space open enough?" He found a calm rhythm, like the slow heartbeat of the earth. Then, without realizing it, something changed. His mind, which usually chattered about outcomes, about praise, about the fear of failure, began to quiet down. What remained was only the sensation of the hammer in his hand, the rhythmic sound of each tap, and a faint image of a form slowly emerging from within the stone. He did not force that form. He simply followed the guidance given by the stone itself. He did not know how much time had passed. When he finally stopped, his arms naturally tired, the afternoon sunlight had already begun to fade. In front of him, the jade had not yet become anything recognizable. He had only cleared away much of one side, but there was a beautiful curve, a gentle arc that felt right. as if it had always belonged there. Master Li approached. His eyes swept across the surface of the stone. He did not comment on its shape. He simply asked, "Do you hear it?" "Hear what, Master?" "The voice of the stone. It is grateful for being given space to breathe." Ren smiled softly. He understood. This was not a metaphor. When he carved without force, with full awareness, there was indeed a silent conversation between him and the stone. A wordless dialogue that could only happen when the noisy mind had grown quiet. He did not finish it that day. He set down his chisel, cleaned his table, and felt a quiet, unfamiliar satisfaction. Not because he had created something spectacular, but because he had taken part in something with peace. That night, Ren slept peacefully for the first time in a long while. There were no dreams of cracked stones or lost praise, only a deep and refreshing silence. He began to understand that not trying was not laziness. It was the purest form of action, a state of harmony where the doer and the doing were no longer separate, but became one within the process itself. And at this moment, let us follow Ren's calm. Feel the quiet satisfaction that comes not from results, but from being fully present in the process. Allow your body to relax completely, like jade that is finally treated with gentleness, not force. The months passed. Ren's calmness grew deeper, yet one subtle restlessness remained, the desire to prove that he had changed. He longed to create a perfect peace, to show Master Li and himself that he had mastered Wu Wei, the art of effortless action. Seeing this, Master Li gave him a small piece of jade, milky white and very pure. Yet at its center ran a deep red vein, like a line of blood. "This heartstone," said Master Li, "is your final test. Carve what you feel is right. But remember, perfection is not the goal. It is the clarity of your heart in the process that will be judged." Ren received the stone with trembling hands. "This is my chance," he thought. He brought it to his workbench, determined to create something extraordinary. But the more he imagined something magnificent, the emptier his inspiration became. The red vein in the stone, which once seemed unique, now felt as if it were staring back at him, challenging him. Day after day, he only sat, staring at the heartstone. His mind grew noisy again. It must be beautiful. It must be meaningful. Don't ruin the uniqueness of the red vein. He became trapped once more in analysis and the desire to control. Until one quiet evening, he nearly gave up. Without thinking, he took the stone and sat by the edge of the pond. He no longer tried to find an idea. He was simply tired. He gazed at his troubled reflection in the water, and without realizing it, let the heartstone slip from his hand. It landed softly in the mud at the edge of the pond, partially sinking. When he picked it up, mud had clung to the red vein, making it appear dull. By reflex, Ren washed it with the pond water. As the water touched the stone, the red vein seemed to come alive, shimmering in the light of the setting sun. And in that glow, he did not see a form he had to create. He simply saw a beauty that was already there. He realized something. All this time, he had wanted to add beauty to the stone. Yet, its beauty had always been complete, within its natural form and its mysterious vein. His task was not to carve something new, but to remove his own fears and desires that had been blocking him from seeing the beauty that already existed. The next day, with a calm breath, Ren returned to his workbench. He no longer thought about creating a masterpiece. He simply asked the stone, "What must I remove so your light can shine more clearly?" Then, with careful, attentive taps, he began to carve little by little, not to shape, but to reveal. He followed the flow of the red vein, allowing it to guide him. When he stopped, in the palm of his hand lay the same heartstone, yet now its surface was smoother, and the red vein looked like a small river frozen within snow. He had not turned it into a dragon or a flower. He had only allowed it to become more of what it already was. Master Li received it, and for the first time, a wide smile appeared on his face. "This is it," he said. "You did not carve this stone. You carved away your own fears and desires that covered it. Congratulations, Ren. You are no longer just a carver. You have become a part of the Tao." Years later, Ren had become a master. The small workshop at the foot of the mountain was now visited by many seekers of knowledge. They came to learn carving, but often left with deeper lessons about life. One day, a young student, intelligent and full of ambition, came to him. His name was Tao, very much like Ren in his younger days. His hands were quick, his mind sharp, yet always tense and afraid of failure. "Master," Tao said one afternoon, after once again cracking a beautiful piece of stone, "I have read all the books, memorized every technique, but the more I try to be perfect, the more I fail. What is wrong?" Master Ren smiled. He brought Tao to the pond in the center of the garden, its water always clear. "Long ago, my teacher asked me what holds up the roof of the workshop," said Master Ren. "Now I ask you, what makes this pond clear?" Tao answered quickly, "Because the water is still, Master. The dirt settles at the bottom." "Correct," said Master Ren. "Then what must you do to make the water of your soul still?" Tao fell silent for a long moment, then said, "Stop disturbing it?" Master Ren nodded. "Your mind that seeks perfection, fears failure, and constantly compares. That is the hand that keeps stirring the water of your soul. Let it become still, and like dirt settling, all doubt and fear will sink to the bottom. What remains on the surface is clarity. Clarity that will easily reflect the true form of the stone you carve." He took a handful of fine sand and gently scattered it over the surface of the pond. The grains created small ripples, then slowly sank, and the water became clear again. "Look, failure, cracks, mistakes. These are only grains of sand. Let them settle. Do not keep stirring them. Trust that deep within your calm, you already know what to do. You only need to give it the space to emerge." Hearing that, Tao took a deep breath. His tense face slowly softened. He understood that this lesson was not about carving jade, but about carving the self. "So, to become a good carver, I must stop trying to become a good carver?" he asked, half joking. "Exactly," replied Master Ren, his eyes shining. "Strive not to strive. Struggle not to struggle. That is Wu Wei. That is the Tao. Like a river that does not try to reach the sea, yet arrives all the same, because flowing is its nature. And so it is with you. Being your true self, calm, trusting, clear, is your nature. You do not need to achieve it. You only need to stop blocking it." From that day on, Tao began to practice stillness. He spent more time sitting quietly, simply observing. And strangely, when he finally picked up the chisel again, his movements were no longer stiff. It was as if he were dancing with the stone. Mistakes still happened, but he no longer saw them as disasters. Instead, he saw them as part of a conversation with the stone. Master Ren watched from a distance, his heart filled with peace. He remembered the words of Lao Tzu he had once read. Mastering the world is achieved by letting things take their natural course. He had arrived here not by climbing a mountain with struggle, but by allowing himself to be carried by the current of wisdom. And like water that flows gently toward the sea, we too now drift toward the end of this story. Feel how light it is to not force anything, even yourself. The story of Master Ren and the Heartstone may have come to an end, but its gentle flow will continue to live within us. From a carver who was once harsh on himself to a teacher as soft as water, Ren teaches us that the highest achievement is not when we succeed in shaping the world according to our will, but when we allow the world and ourselves to reveal the beauty that already exists in its own way. The art of not trying is not passivity or surrender. It is the art of being fully present with a clear mind and an open heart, so that action arises not from restless ego, but from harmony with a greater rhythm of nature. Like bamboo that bends and survives the storm, like water that flows through stone, like a pond that becomes clear when left undisturbed. True strength often lies in softness, flow, and stillness. Tonight, carry this gentle lesson into your subconscious. If there is restlessness, allow it to settle. If there is a desire to force things, soften your grip. Trust that within your quietest self already lies all the answers and beauty you need. Let the soothing music continue to guide your thoughts, leading you into a peaceful and restoring rest. Good night, and sleep peacefully, like water returning to the sea.